All right, so that was the first part of the query builder. Next, I mean, this is pretty simple query. I mean, okay, we're only getting one value. It's hard-coded. It's always Ali, right? This is a problem. This is not how it works. You know, sometimes you want to give some values. So what we can do, first, let's add another query. Instead of that just simple query here, we say add query, and then do next. All right, so I'm not very good in SQL. I am not great in SQL. I want the computer, or I want Visual Studio to help me. So what do we use? We use the query builder. And if you used Access before, or any type of database engine that has query builder built in it, it would be very similar to this. You have only one table here right now, but you can drag in multiple tables. Later on, we'll show you how to do that. And here you have, on top, here you have all the fields that will be part of query. So here I have my fields. Here's 1, 2, all the fields that you see above, they are all here. Okay. Also, in addition to that, you have here the fields again, the table name, and here you have an option, output or not. What is this output or not? Yeah, if I don't want the customer ID to be part of this, all I do is that uncheck it. Now it's not there, but it is part of the query. That means I can use it in my where statement. If I want to put like where ID equal 5, where ID greater than 5, whatever, I can use it. But it will not be shown, it will not be returned to you. Okay? We'll include it. We'll make it part of the output. All right. Well, we were working with the name, and we said, what if I want to do the like in here? We have a field called filter. In this filter, I can do what? I can say equal, for example, some value. Now notice your SQL statement here is dependent on your design here. So whatever I do here, it will be reflected in the SQL statement. Now, a word of advice: if you're using the query builder here, don't try to modify the SQL on your own, because if you make a mistake here, it will be very hard to fix it. If you want to use the query builder, use the query builder. If you want to use the SQL, use the SQL. Got the idea? All right. Now, if I execute my query, here's the result. I didn't get anything either. Why I didn't get anything? Because, again, for the same reason that we had earlier, which is you don't have any record that contains only Ali. But, again, if I say like, and then I put and %a, and %a, and just %, and hit the enter. Now, what does it do? It gives me all the records that contains in it the letter A, small a. Now, if I do execute query, you got 2 records that contains the letter A. Yeah? Now, this is good, but when we're doing a search, we don't just type in, we don't hard code the value here. We want the user to enter the value. So we want to pass the value to this query. So how do I pass a value to the query? I just say like question mark. This question mark is called a parameter. So the parameter to this query is what? Will be passed to this query. I mean, the parameter that you send will be passed to this query, and it will be used by this, the like. So if I send Ali, it will replace the question mark. You got the idea? All right, so execute query. Now notice, what does it say? It's telling me you need to give it a value. And now if I type in %, B, %, it will give me all the record that contains the letter B. See, here is one. We have a record that contains B. You got the idea? All right. Hit OK. And then click on next. Or I didn't click on next, but let's configure it. I wanted to give it a name, actually. Configure it. I want to go back. Next, I want to give it a name. But instead of fill by, this is fill by name. And here, fill by name. All right. And then you click on next. Finish. So how many queries do I have now in my table adapter? 3. One just, what does this do? If you look at, if you click on configure, this one just select everything from the table with no condition. Finish. This one, configure. This one looks for a particular name that contains Ali. And the last one actually does what? It's using parameters. Here it's actually using parameter to the query. Now notice the difference between those three. This one has what? This method, we call this method. This method does not receive, or query does not receive any parameter. This one receives parameter, and then this one receives one parameter. And that one, the first one. So the first two, no parameter, and the last one receives the name as a parameter, a name value, a string. Is that clear? Now, you can test it to see how it works. You can just say run, or preview data. And now you can say preview. That's for the first one, fill everyone. But if you want to do the last one, you do preview data. And then here you have to give it a value for the name. Okay. Again, you can put the like, because we're using like. Okay. All right. So that is how we create queries with parameter. So in the first part, we created a query with no parameter. Second part, we created a query with a parameter. The next part, how do we use these queries in my program? All these three queries, how can we use them in my program? All right.